Well, first of all, good evening to everybody. Yeah, thank you very much for coming, and thank you very much for having us here. We know it's not easy, but we're really pleased to come here. It was a little bit shocking to see so much snow, but you say it's almost like summer, so so I'm not sure whether we believe you. As Parag was saying, we're going to do like a little theory session, yeah, which is also really good, especially when you have a board, because most of the things that we see on the court, first of all, it's quite important that we understand, especially in terms of position and tactic. I think that Padel is one of those sports that maybe, even though you are not really good from a technical point of view, if you know where to stand on the court with your partner and what shots to play, of course technique helps because it gives you the opportunity to play the shot into the best angles, but as long as you have a good position on the court, you will feel that most of the times you're going to be safe. And this is the most important thing, you know, to know what's going to happen, to know more or less what to expect from the opponent, and therefore to know where to stand. This is the most important thing, yeah? Okay. So we've got basic position for these two defenders. We set line up with the post, line up with the post. That's where normally the defender should be. Okay, but as we said, very often, especially when you're dealing with cross-court balls, this player will normally try to aim to these spots, just to create that confusion, so you don't know how the ball is going to bounce, okay? That's when the position here, this is just a little bit more advanced for those who feel that you start being good defenders. Now is when the position here will slightly vary. This thing I'm going to tell you right now is probably the Bible of Padel, yeah? And if you want to be good defenders, and you have to if you want to play good Padel, this is so important. I cannot stress you how important it is. As we said, when the ball is coming down the line, that's not really difficult for the defender. Yeah, it's a straight ball, you can defend it. The problem comes, as we said, when the ball is coming cross. Sometimes you don't really know how to read the ball, yes? First thing that the defender is going to do, you're going to create an imaginary line that goes from the corner right into the player, yeah? So imagine this guy will position with the side wall here, which you will see is just a little bit closer than the very first position we set, okay? This is good when you are starting to defend the walls, but when you get quite good, you're going to stay on top of this imaginary line. What do you get with this? Very simple. You know for sure that any ball that goes on your right-hand side, it will always be a side wall shot. It's impossible, literally impossible, that a ball that goes over here goes like this and hits the back wall. That spin is not invented yet in Padel, okay? Nobody has created this, okay? In the other way, we know for sure that by staying here, if the ball goes on the left, it's going to be a back wall shot, okay? If instead of standing here, you stay here, what happens then is that the ball, when it goes over here, you don't really know where the ball is going to bounce, okay? And this is what creates a lot of confusion. Does that make sense? Can you see the reason why?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is a common mistake, by the way.
A very common mistake.
Especially, for example, let's say they are playing to Dani in the corner, and me as a habit, start going a little bit towards him, and then when the player decides to switch to me, I'm not in the right position. That happens a lot. All right, or the opposite. They are playing to me, and Dani starts getting distracted, starts coming closer to me, then he's out of position. So remember, when you're at the back, you have your position, like Dennis is saying, and you keep it too. The middle is open, yeah, no problem. We both can help to cover it, okay? And you're always going to be able to reach it. But the corner, you cannot uncover it, because when the ball enters in the corner, it's a mess, okay? You have to, like, if you're not well positioned, it's very difficult to solve the problem, right? So always keep in the position. Very difficult to do, but it's just a matter of being focused and thinking about, okay, I'm here, I'm well positioned, then I gotta keep that position all the time.
Once you have these positions, you will see that little by little you're gonna feel a bit more relaxed, okay? Even though at the beginning maybe you don't get it, at least you will see how the ball starts bouncing off the walls, and that gives you much more relaxation because you can start reading the ball, okay? So we've got the side post, we've got the back post, we've got this imaginary line, okay? We will stay, just a little bit wider, okay? We will stay here. If the ball goes into the small wall, we said one wall shot, no problem. If the ball goes into the big side wall, depending on the power and the height of the ball, we will select one thing or the other one. If the ball is coming quite low, not much power, this guy will move backwards and in diagonal, and he will play the shot as a forehand. So you will just move away from the ball, and you will just play a forehand. If the ball had more power or more height, okay, this will mean that the player will have to come over here. Not worth it, because you are losing this line. What do you do then? You turn with the ball. That's when you start turning with the ball, okay? Because the same shot that you have to go over here to play with the forehand, okay, taking it with the backhand, you're saving 2 meters of distance, which in Padel is a lot, okay? If the ball had any more power than this, it will be this guy's shot. That's why this guy, whenever the net player is playing cross-court, especially bandejas or smashes, this guy will always come a little bit closer, okay? Just in case there is a big bounce, rather than watching your partner breaking your back in 25 pieces trying to turn with the ball, you will call for the ball and say, don't worry, I'm saving you, mine. And on top of that, you've got a very strong shot with your forehand. Does that make sense? Very often we see millions of times this player acting like Caesar. I'm watching. He's like, come on, you can make it. And then you go, oh, you're terrible. Yeah? No. You have to help all the time. Okay? It's like, not your fault. You miss it, not my problem, you know? I'm better than you. No, you always have to help. You always have to make sure you're getting a little bit closer. That's what you see very often when somebody's kind of returning as well. This player, watch it on the World Padel Tour, all the players, this player, rather than starting here, starts over here. And then after the returns happen, he goes back again here. Okay? Just a little bit for protection purposes. So we've got these 3 things. Okay? If the ball bounces on the back wall first, we had the side wall, now we go on the back wall, yes? This is where the back post is so freaking important. Okay, why? Because if the ball bounces on the right side of the post, I've got plenty of space to run round and take the shot as a backhand. No need to turn. Okay, I've got plenty of space. But what happens if the ball bounces on the other side of the post? We see very often this guy still running round, and then you get totally smashed on the sidewall. Yes, that's where you go like this, like that, and then you get smashed on the sidewall, yes? What do you do then? Just keep your target, and then you turn with the ball, okay? So you convert it into a forehand. If the ball doesn't have enough power to get into the back wall, you will move back and return it as a forehand. If you feel that the ball has more power, you will follow it with little steps until you've got the ball in the right moment. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay. Will you remember this for tomorrow?
Well, we will.
So you're going to be like, so what am I supposed to do? What?
No, we will go over all this on court. Obviously, it's so much easier to understand it there also. But it's good that you see it on the blackboard. But tomorrow you get a feeling of it, so you will have it more clear.
Exactly. So we've got the position sorted. Okay? We know more or less where we should stand on the court. Okay? Now, once we have the position, we are in a better way to know what shot we have to play. Okay? What is the target when you are on the defense? What is your target as a defender? Who said that? To get the net. Okay? The most common shot that you will think about playing when you want to reach the net will be the lob. Okay? This shot will always force the players to run back. So in an ideal world, you will always play the first shot, a lob, so you move them back. But on the real world, there's a problem. These guys, in theory, they don't like getting lobbed because they want to stay at the net. So if these guys play heavy volleys with a little bit of a slice, sometimes playing a lob is not an easy option. Okay? Very often, one of the most common problems is that the defender tries to play the lob when it's not the right shot, and what happens? You either make a mistake or you give them the easiest shot and then you just finish with a smash. Okay? So, golden rule for the defender, only play a lob when you've got an easy shot. Okay? Very often we've heard a lot of times, when you don't know what to do, play a lob. That's the worst thing you can do. Because then the lob doesn't have the quality. And a lob needs to have quality, just to make sure that you don't miss it or you don't get killed. Even though you lob the players, if it's not a good lob, that ball is going to bounce back a lot of the back ball. So you will still have a very difficult shot to return, okay? So only play the lob if you know for sure the lob is going to be good. What do you do otherwise? Just play straight. Okay? Where to? As we said, the cross-court player has to take, is responsible for 60% of the court. Why 60? Because this player can never be allowed to take in the middle. Why? Because this shot is so easy that this guy is forced to stay here, always covering this 40%. Okay? That's why the shots should always normally be cross-court. And then, play one shot to the middle, move him along. Play a little bit short cross-court, shorter, move him into the side. Play a little bit of a neutral lob if you can. So you basically have the cross-court player working on this triangle. This will be the perfect defender, the one who's working the net player in these 3 shots. And that's when, as a defender, you become a good attacker from the back of the court. When this guy is at the net so nervous, thinking, okay, where is he going to go? Is he going to go here? Is he going to go there? Is he going to go there? That's why the quality of the volleys is so important. Because when you play high quality volleys, this guy is not going to have much shot selection. So he can only play neutral shots. The better this guy is, the more he will start playing angle, lob, middle. Okay? If you start going down the line, you will probably get killed. Unless you're so accurate that you can play really close over the net that this guy cannot attack. But if it's not the case, always play cross-court. Does that make sense? Do you all do this? Yeah, of course, yeah. So, what a question, Danny. Any questions so far about these things? Yes, Ludwig.
Sometimes when I receive the serve,
yes.
I prefer to lob.
Yes.
Is it a good shot or something?
It depends on the speed of the serve.
Okay.
Okay? Why? When you come, say for example, let's make the court just a little bit smaller. This is the net. Second half. And here. Okay. When you serve, okay, imagine this guy serving, so the net player is waiting here, yes. The server is standing here. First defender, second defender. Both defenders start behind the line, yeah. Tennis players sometimes start here. No, forget it. Totally forbidden. 10 press-ups if you do that, yeah? So this guy, when he serves, okay, he will come towards the middle, as we said, because he's the main player. So his position should be somewhere over here, okay? Can I lob? Of course you can lob. If the serve is not very powerful or is not a compromised shot, you can lob. There's only one thing. Be careful, because then server is moving forward. So maybe when you hit the first lob, this guy is not really close. So sometimes he's having a neutral position, okay? So he will be in a very good position to start building the point with an easy shot, okay? Could you lob down the line? Yes, you could. This player, normally the down the line player, stays a bit closer, but there's one problem. The court is smaller. When you go down the line, there's only, from here to there, there's only 18 meters. When you go cross-court, there's 3 more meters. Okay, but the problem is that the server normally will stop a little bit more in the middle of the court. Okay, so yes, you can lob, but normally all the players, what they do is that they return straight to the server's feet. Because he's running from behind, normally he has to stop in the middle of the court. So the ideal shot will be to play low to his feet, so his first volley is always upwards. So you know you can start building the point a little bit better. Okay, lob. We see lobs, but you have to be careful. It always depends on the quality of your opponents, the quality of your shots, and the quality of the serve. If those 3 things work fine, you can try the lob. If not, be careful. The better the players are, the more they play low. They only play lobs when they know for sure there's going to be a good lob. Yeah? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Any more questions about these things? Great people, huh?
Everything.
There are computers in here. Okay? Right. So as we say here, first tactic. Only play the lob when you can play a quality lob. Alright? Imagine you've got that ball. You've been working the point really well from the back, straight shots. All of a sudden, there's a very easy ball bouncing off the back roll, that's when you can play the lob. That's why it's so important to rely on the back roll. The ball slows down, that's when you can play better lobs. Okay? When this guy plays a lob, this is the second golden point for the Bible of Padel, yeah? This guy, okay, is going to have 4 options in terms of dealing with the first lob. This guy plays a lob, yes? You really want to play the best lob, but then all of a sudden you realize you've played a terrible lob, a shit lob, yeah? And the ball is going to bounce very, very easy. What is the first option this guy will have if he's playing with a very easy lob? He's going to try to finish the point, yeah? Okay? So, when the lob is very short, this player can try to finish the point. What happens if the lob is a little bit better? Okay? So this guy has to step back a little bit, but he can still stop his feet. What shot will he try to do? Bandeja. Yeah? Normally, yes. Why? Because the further you go, the harder it is to finish a point. Option 2. We play a bandeja or víbora. Yeah? Okay? Depends on how accurate and how confident you feel. You play with bandeja or víbora. Option 3. This guy plays a really good lob. Better lob. But this guy, even though he's jumping back or falling back, he can still return it so he can quickly recover to the net. What shot will he use?
Let it bounce.
Will you let it bounce and wait for the back roll? Any other option that comes to your mind?
Flat.
Take down the pace.
Which one?
Flat.
Flat. The placement smash. Yes? So even though I cannot let the ball drop, because I don't have the time to let the ball drop for the bandeja, I can still take it as high as possible, place it into the fence, which is a very common shot, recover as fast as you can. So even though this is not the best of the shots, first of all, you're using the fence, a very uncomfortable shot. The second one is that even though the shot is not great, you're still having the net position, which is one of the most important things in Padel. Yes? So option 1, if you've got the smash, finish it. Option 2, slice it with the bandeja or speed it up with a little bit more of side spin. Option 3, place it. Option 4, the ball bounces behind the line. The lob bounces behind the line. What do we do? You use the back roll. Yes? You're so far away from the net, there is no point on trying to hit it to then recover. Okay? Is this clear? What good players try to do, and this is sometimes why when we watch the men's on the World Padel Tour, sometimes it's not real, and sometimes you feel like Lamperti or like Paquito Navarro, and you think, okay, I'm going to finish it. Okay? What good players try to do is they try to convert this option into this option into this, and this option, so they're well just finishing. Okay? That's why you see big players, sometimes especially the backhand player, even though he's played a good lob and he's on position 3, he attempts a powerful smash to hit it off the court. Yes? But let's be realistic. These guys have been playing for 25 years every single day. Yes? One of the worst things you can do is to feel that you are Miguel Lamperti and then you try to finish it. Probably because you will break your back, you are not going to look cool, and then this guy will kill you on the way back. Okay? So then you're going to be like, oh my God. All right? So try to stick to this. Now, we've got these 4 options when you are receiving the lob. But now I'm going to test you. Where should the defender be according to every single shot these guys are playing? So when this guy plays the lob and he sees he's played, a shit lob, where should he stand? Where should these guys stand?
Outside the goal.
Yes, you can climb the wall as well, and you can run away from the club, yeah?
In front
But
of the line.
they will have to move in. They have to move closer. Why? Because these guys can smash it. Smash means big bounce, yes? So these guys, because they've played a bad lob, they have to make a sacrifice, which is they have to lose their position. Yes? They might hit it, or they might play soft. That's what happens when you play a bad lob. Yes, and sometimes then here you have to move really fast forwards or going back. Is that clear? Now, where do we stand if we play the lob and this guy is attempting option 2? Where will this player stay?
Ground. The starting position.
Which one?
The starting position.
Exactly, here. Yes? The slice can happen when this guy plays the bandeja, the bounce is going to be quite low of the walls, yes? If the smash, the slice smash, the bandeja bounces in front of his feet, he will just block it as a half volley. If it bounces off the walls, he will normally have to move a little bit further back. This depends obviously on the quality of the slice. Sometimes I'm sure that you play against people that they try the bandeja, but sometimes the bandeja gets a little bit bouncy. Then of course this guy doesn't have to go back, he can stay here. Or beginners, sometimes they try to slice it and the ball bounces a lot. Okay, so I can move in. But normally as a reference, you will keep your reference. That's where you're going to need these references. It's so important. Option 3. This is a difficult one. Where will this player stay if you've played a good lob and this guy is going to place it?
Take the net. On the service line.
Somebody says, take the net. Somebody says, service line. Tricky one.
The net or the starting position?
Yes, yes. Sometimes when this lob happens, these players tend to move in a little bit. Yes? They play the lob and they watch the lob and they think that was a good lob and they move in. Yes? And what happens is that you get caught in the middle of nowhere. What happens if this guy places the smash and the ball gets behind you? You haven't got an option. Unless you boast it into the back wall, which is not a recommended thing. Yes? So either you maintain your position slightly behind the service line, around here, but not any closer, or you move really close. Because you've played a good lob, this guy will never have the option to hit it with power. He will go for placement. But you have to get very close. Because if you stay here, that ball is going to bounce on your feet and it's a pain in the ass, or it gets behind you and then you haven't got a chance. Okay? So that's where you see that all the players, as soon as they play the lob, they sprint. They go from A to B in 0.5 seconds, ready to volley. So this guy, as soon as he plays a shot, does not have a chance to recover. He has to go back straight away. Yeah? Good one there. Option 4. Where do you go when you have played the ball on option 4? So I cannot reach it, I have to wait for the back wall. Always?
Here we have many fake, and then I get the ball.
So you're like,
But the
back forwards.
most common is that both take the net.
normally both should take the net. It's a must. Unless you see you've played a very bouncy lob off the back wall and this guy can easily attack it with a forehand. For example, if I lob him and I see that the lob is going to be quite bouncy, because I know he can smack it off the back wall 120 miles an hour, maybe I think, all right, you know what, I don't want to lose my head. I'm going to stay here waiting for a fast ball and then I'll try to recover it. Okay? But we will always try to encourage the players to close the net. Okay? Make sure that if it's a bouncy shot, you're awake. Especially when the ball is coming pretty fast, yeah? Otherwise the ball might be in your face and it's not very fun. Okay? So make sure you're just coming to the net and you're brave to maintain the net position. Is this clear?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. And through all this process, what is this player doing? He took a chair and he's sitting here, yeah?
Yes.
With a Coke, watching the rally cross-court, yes? What is this player doing? As we said, these guys normally will play down the line only if he's a weaker player or if they can play very aggressive, okay? Two things can happen. This guy has to be always expecting the worst because he knows that if this guy plays to him, normally it's because he's going to attack. So first thing, you're playing 50% of the game. The other 50%, you're working with your partner. Do not stop your feet. If you stop your feet, the first ball that comes to you, you're going to miss it, and then you're going to blame them for playing 8 shots in a row to him. And you would say, they never play to me. So then, of course, when they play to me, I make a mistake. What's the point? I don't play paddle. Yeah, no, you have to stay super active. Has it happened or not?
Yes.
Yeah, they always play to the weaker player. Yeah, they don't want to play to me. And then, of course, after 30 minutes, I play one shot and then I make a mistake, of course. Yeah? So first thing, you have to stay super active because normally you're going to receive the worst shot. But not only that. As we said, sometimes for this guy, ideally, it will be great if he can play the lob, so these guys can move in. But is there a way for these players to reach the net without playing the lob? Yes, there is. Playing soft to their feet. So when the ball is below the net, they cannot attack. And that's where this guy has to be like a rat, ready to move in so he can start taking as much court as possible with the volley. Yes? If this guy is not awake, this guy is trying to defend himself with lobs, and if he can't, with low shots, but if this guy is not moving in, this guy could turn around to him and say, hey, what are you doing? I'm trying to play the best shots down to his feet, and you are not moving in to try to block it with your volley. Yes? So that's why when you are not playing, which is 50%, you have to be super intense on your legs. Because you might receive a bullet, or you might be the one that has to move in super quick to try to intercept with the volley. Okay? Especially, this is one of the things that girls and the men, when you see like the tournaments, they do it constantly. Till the point that you might say, hey Danny, but sometimes when I watch the World Padel Tour, I see that this player stays here. He doesn't stay here. And I would say, yes, he does. Because he has so much confidence that his shots are not going to be semi-high, that he can afford stepping in 1 meter, praying for the shot to go down to his feet or into option 3, and then this guy will go, boom, straight away, moving in. If he's played a bad shot, straight away, he will move back to his position. So he's basically moving forwards or backwards within a second. Okay? If you are not that fast, or if you don't trust that much your partner's shots, you have to stay here. Otherwise, you're going to get killed. Do you know who is Juan Martín Díaz? Yeah? Formula 1, number 1 in the world with Belasteguin. Yes? When Belasteguin and Juan Martín Díaz played together, I don't know if you remember, did you see any of the tournaments they played together? Yes? How were they playing? Imagine this is Juan Martín, even though it was the other way around. Juan Martín was playing here, always, and Belasteguin there. So everybody will say, what is this guy doing here? He's going to get killed. He should never be there. The problem, or the advantage he had, is that this guy, Belasteguin, plays so close to the net and so good with the lobs that he is allowed to be here. So unless you have the confidence of playing with someone like Belasteguin, that I'm not saying that we might see tomorrow Fernando Belasteguin on court, but if it's not the case, stay here. Why? Have you seen what happened to Juan Martín Díaz this year? He has not played a final. And the year before, he has not played a final. Why? Because he is used to play here. And these guys, they have a problem. They're not as good as Belasteguin. So they play the ball a little bit high, and in 2 years, Juan Martín Díaz got hit more times than in his whole career. Why? Because these guys, obviously, when the ball is semi-high, they kill him, they kill him, they kill him. So make sure you stay back. If you rely on your partner, okay, you can get a bit closer. The more you rely on your partner, the closer you can get to the net. Does that make sense? Yes?
How was it for the new guys to play with Juan Martín Díaz?
A pain in the ass. A pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I don't-
He plays very...
He forces you to play so well that the guys had so much pressure, because as he's not coming back to defend, he thinks, oh my God, I have to play so low and such good lobs that if I don't, obviously he's been the number 1 for 13, 14 years. They're not going to blame him, they're going to blame me. So of course this guy, there was a match, I don't know if you saw it, Fede Quiles, an Argentinian guy, played with him, epic match. After the 3-set match, this guy was crying, he was in tears. He had so much pressure that he was the one that had to do everything, that after the match he collapsed. And he didn't want to play with him again. And he hasn't played with him. Yeah, but of course, who's going to blame the number 1? But the problem is his. And then is when you see him going like this, and like that, and like this, that's not padel. That's something different, yeah, that he was allowed to do when he was playing with the best player in the actual world, which is Belasteguin. Yes? So, unless your partner is Belasteguin, you have to move back and defend. yes, and then ready to attack constantly. If you can, go back. He's played a good low shot, move in. He can't, go back. So imagine this guy, maybe he's like 12 shots, he's not playing the ball, and after 12 balls he's going to get a heart attack. He's thinking, I haven't hit a ball and I'm so tired. That's how you have to play Padel. Rather than, okay, I'm aggressive. To Gabo, to Gabo, to Gabo, to Gabo, to Gabo, straight in your face. That's Gabo's fault. Okay? Does that make sense? Anything you would like to add, Gabo, please, because I'm just running out of saliva.
I mean, what Dan is been very specific, but what we recommend always is to start with the basic stuff. Okay, like he said, he used an example of the smash, for example. Obviously, everybody feels good to hit the ball from behind the line. Everybody wants to try. You know, sometimes when you're playing on a good day, you think that you can hit it actually from behind the line. Not smart to do. And you know, one of the most difficult things in Padel is to play simple, because it's a game that it's a lot of fun if you don't play simple. And you know, when you play simple, which is the effective way of playing, it's not so fun, but it's the right way to play. So, I mean, all this that Dan is telling you, always try to use the basic stuff. Okay, all that things that he was saying of moving in, if your partner is good, I mean, just stay back and move with your partner.
Yeah.
And, you know, especially if you're social players. I mean, you're not professionals. You don't play 8 hours a day. So start with the basic stuff, and you will see better results, of course. And that's the main thing.
Yeah. In order to put this together, there's a very easy way to describe it. The objective when you are the defenders, the first objective is 1, do not make a mistake, and choose carefully when to play the lob, so these guys have to move out. Yes? Very often we see these players trying to win the point to the net players, and as a consequence they do unforced errors, unforced errors, unforced errors, because they feel they have to win the point. Sometimes tennis players, they feel they have to do like a passing shot. No, the court is so narrow, these guys have to cover nothing, so it's impossible, yeah? So, objective for these guys, do not make a mistake. What is the objective for the net players? Do not lose the net. So, we are not talking about winning the point. Do not lose the net, because if you've got the net, you might have to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 volleys. It doesn't matter. You're at the net and you are controlling the game. So sooner or later, when you force the defenders to play 12 shots in a row from here, from there, from there, from there, from there, after 12 balls, sooner or later you will see the opportunity to finish the point. Yes? But sometimes when we go to the net, the very first thing that comes to your mind is to put your eyes full of blood and you try to kill your opponent. Yes? It's like you can see the veins going bigger and bigger. No, you are not losing the net. Okay? You get lobbed, don't worry, you've got the net position. Okay? Basic stuff as well. So often we see players getting lobbed, you run back, you smash it, and then you stay here watching what your opponent does. Maybe I win the point, maybe I lose the point, maybe I win the point. Oh, the ball's coming back straight into your feet. Yes? Get there and go back to your position. If the ball is here, cross-court player, closer to the middle, down the line player, closer to the side. If the ball is here, down the line player, switch. This guy switches. Okay? Yes? That's why it's not very recommended when you are at the net to play one shot here, one shot there, one shot here, one shot there. Why? Because then you have to be shifting from these positions constantly. Here, there. So after 5 minutes, you're going to be in hospital because of running. Okay? Better to play 3 shots to the same person. This guy is not running, that guy is not running. You feel you've got an easy one and you want to play here. Fantastic. Then you switch positions. 1, 2, 3. But don't play 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Otherwise, these guys, sooner or later, there's going to be an open space. Yes? We see that quite often.
Yeah, that happens quite often.
That happens a lot. Yeah? It's like volley to that. That's why sometimes, I don't know who was saying that, sometimes on the backhand volley, you feel you can go down the line. Yes? And sometimes on the forehand volley, you feel you can go cross-court. Cross-court is a tendency of the shots. That's why it's really important that you know how to play cross-court, but down the line. Cross-court, but down the line. Otherwise, you get predictable on what you do. And so players always know more or less what's going to happen, yes? The ideal thing is that these players, they don't know where you're going to play. No matter how good the shot is, they should not know what you're going to do. And the objective of defenders as well is to try not to play always in the same way. Yeah? Okay, to try, if you can, to do something with the ball. If not, keep it simple. Ball in, ball in, ball in, ball in. Any questions about this or about any other thing that you might feel about paddle? Say, hey, Danny, Gabo, I've got this thing. Yes? Yeah.
What tips do you have for the defenders to hit shots so you don't get the opponent's good volleys?
First thing, obviously, the lower you play, the harder it's going to be for the net players to attack. Okay. The last thing the defenders want is to play up here. Okay. If it was the case, because the attackers, I mean, they're playing quite well, make sure you aim always for the backhand volley. Backhand volley is always much harder when it's up here to attack. On a forehand, you're going to get killed. Okay. So the lower you play, the slower you're forcing the net players to play. Once the ball comes slower, then you can start changing the shots. Then you can start going for the lob, or you might attempt an angle or something like that. If the ball stays around the head level for the net players, the ball is going to go so fast that the only thing you can do is almost to block it, which sometimes you're going to have to. Sometimes you're going to have to block 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shots, and we're just surviving until we manage to connect a little bit of a lower ball, and then these guys have to play a little bit higher over the net. That's the ideal thing. That's what you want to do. Yes? If these guys constantly hit the ball from the head level, you're going to be dead. Okay? So get good precision, I will say, on hitting neutral balls at a sort of a medium height. It doesn't have to be the best of the shots, but at least make sure it's not going so high. And sooner or later, there will be an easier shot bouncing off the back wall, which is in theory the ideal shot to play the lob. Or at least the ball is going to go slower. Yeah? If you start smacking it, there's nothing better for the net players than having defenders hitting the ball very hard here. First thing, sometimes the ball is going to go straight into the back wall. The second one, it doesn't do anything. Maybe on a beginner, you think, oh my God, this guy's hitting the ball so hard, I'm scared at the net. Yeah, that will happen at the beginning. After a few shots or after a few months, you will say, you know what, I actually like the power, so please give me power. Because all I have to do is just to put the racket, place it into one side. Yes? Okay, that comes along with the attitude. That's why the net players, when they come to the net, it's not like they go to the finishing line. Yes, I'm here, I'm done. No, you have to go with an aggressive attitude. Yes? Does that answer your question? Yeah. Any more questions for Gabo? He's a better player.
No, you know, by the way, all these that he's talking, for example, your question, there are other things, obviously. I mean, there is so many things that we need to cover, right?
Oh, millions.
But on court, there are many things that we're going to go over, and then you're going to remember this. But you know, for example, what you said, obviously keeping the ball low is the, you know, the first option to not get attacked. Then obviously you need to learn how to choose what shot to play and when. For example, something that we normally work with beginners or with high-level players, doesn't matter, is we always recommend that if you're going to play a lob, you do it when you play either off the wall, because you have time, and you know, to play a proper lob, for example, you know, you need to open the racket face, you need to get underneath the ball. So let's say I get a tough volley from Lars. I don't have time to get the racket underneath the ball, right? So it's not smart to play a lob on that. Probably my lob is going to go to the glass. However, he plays aggressive, and I have time to move away, wait for the wall, then I have time to get under, and I can use my legs to go up. So then my lob, most likely, is going to be good. So, you know, a lot of what Dan is saying, obviously, when you work on it on court, you will learn when to choose the right shot. Okay, and basically, one of the most important things is to have a good shot selection all the time. You know, you can be very good at all these shots, but if you don't choose the right moments and the right ball to do it, then the shot won't work. Okay, so that's something that we will do more on court. It's difficult to go over it on the blackboard,
but at least it gives you a clear idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, of how in theory it should kind of be played, and that's something that Gabo says. Sometimes the best players are the ones that play in the easiest way with the easiest pattern. Okay, which is when they play from the back, they use the neutral shots to the middle. When they play lobs, they play neutral lobs, not even lobs that try to move them back. Lobs straight into the middle around the tee. Why? Because first of all, you're forcing the players to lose their position. Whoever takes this one, normally the backhand player, has to lose their position. also you are creating a straighter ball. And after, they have to recover. So there is a great opportunity to put the ball down to his feet a little bit. Yeah? But all this is created with 2 easy shots. Neutral ball in the middle, neutral lob in the middle. Yes? And then what the net players do, sometimes we say, yeah, go for the wall. How many times when you're at the net, you attempt the corners? Very often, I would say, it's like a normal target. Go for the corners, yeah? Because when you play with a good defender, or a decent defender, sometimes the corner is not that effective. Because if he's got a good position, he knows how to read the ball. So where do the net players play so much as well? Good level. To the middle. Why? Because they are forcing the players to play straighter. And in the end, straighter shots are always easier to defend. So as you see, they are using, even though they play amazing, they're using basic tactics that are applied for beginners. Volley to the middle, defend to the middle, lob to the middle. And we are not talking about anything super difficult.
Also, when attacking, you know, when you play a volley down the middle, if you notice, these guys have to always get out of position. Either this guy that goes for that ball or this guy that goes for the ball. Then the corners open up, right? So, I mean, a simple way of playing would be here, here, there, or here, here, there. Just simple stuff, you know. And that's something that, like I said, it's easy to say. It's not easy to do. We work with competition kids that are 15, and you know they are so talented. And the most difficult for us, when we train them, is to make them understand that with all that talent, they just need to do right, middle. No, the kid wants to do right, drop shot off the door, and smash right through it. Then the kid is missing, is making mistakes. So, you know, like Danny said, just keep it simple. Sometimes that's why when you are learning, you improve very fast because you're afraid to try things. And then as you get better, as you get more comfortable with the racket and with the game, then you start playing more stupid. Is the word, right? More fun, more stupid. So then you don't get as good results. It's more fun, but it's not the most effective way. All right. So we will go over all this in these days. And
Are you all tomorrow here or Sunday? Are you all doing clinics or lessons? Most of you? All? So we have a lot to work on.
Yeah,
I will send you. We will send you after an email, yeah, with all the details, yeah. So
well,
you can catch up tonight.
After this, we're gonna meet with Per to go over the groups, and you know, obviously he's gonna let us know what level you are, and a little bit about the groups. That way, we can plan the best training session for you. You know, because if I train Lars or if I train German, it's not gonna be the same as maybe somebody that just started playing. So that we will do tonight. Okay.
Any question, guys, about the 155 things that we've seen? Padel is easy, yeah? You think it's 3 walls, 2 players, this is easy, yeah? And this is basic tactics. If we go into level 4, 5, 6, 7, you will go, but this gives you a pretty easy example, yeah, of the basics of the paddle, yeah? Which is always try to move closer to the net with your partner, yes? The cross-court player is always in charge of 60% of the court at the net, and at the back, keep a simple strategy with neutral shots. Unless you see there is an open space, keep the game cross-court, only play lobs when you've got easy shots. And the back wall is going to be the big friend for the lobs, yes? If you don't use the back wall, lobbing is going to be very difficult. Especially, sometimes if you go to Spain, you're lucky and you have no roof. So you can lob 25 meters high. But when you have a roof, you have to be very careful and choose really well. Otherwise, sometimes it's also easy to hit the roof. Yeah, so it's really important that the better lobs you want to play, the more you have to rely on the back wall. Yes? In order to know, sometimes you might say, hey, DaNiel, when do I use the back wall? How do I know about using the back wall? Simple. Take as a reference the service line. Yes? Any ball bouncing in front of the service line normally is not going to be a back wall shot because it will not have enough power to bounce back. If it bounces behind the service line, normally that ball is going to bounce. There are exceptions. For example, a very deep shot, but very soft and low, where sometimes you're going to have to move back, take it as a half volley, and there will be exceptions. For example, when this guy plays a smash, the ball bounces here, but it creates a huge bounce. Okay, normally take as a reference that service line. That's why, again, it's very important that you stay behind the service line when you're waiting. at the back of the court, yeah? So you can clearly see with your references what to do. And do not panic. Have you seen the movie 300? Yes? Who has seen that movie? Do you remember when it was, how many fighters there were? It was like 30. Yeah, it was a good one, yeah. Well done, Danny. Was it that many? Well, in the end, it wasn't that many. Maybe it was a bit less, yeah? And they saw like a huge group of like 20,000 people, and they said, do not lose your position, maintain your position. Sometimes when this guy is going to smash, you feel like in the movie like 300, yeah? Like you want to run everywhere. But it's really important that you maintain your positions. If you have your positions in place, you will know how to react. Even if at the beginning sometimes you're a little bit chasing the ball. After a while, you will know how the ball is going to react. And there's no better feeling in paddle than knowing how the ball is going to react. Once you feel that, you feel like you don't want to miss a court. You want to spend 24 hours a day because you know how the ball is going to react. And one of the best feelings is when the defender, when we train together, I have to say that Gabo is a great defender, yeah? And he says, Danny, come on, stay at the net. I want to work on my defense. I go, no. Why? Because after 10 minutes, I'm in hospital. He starts using the walls, and then he goes short, lob, short, lob, short, lob, for 25 minutes. After 25 minutes, I'm like this, on the floor, yeah, and he's not even sweating, all right? So when good defenders know how to use the walls really well, you can actually hurt the net player a lot. If you don't use the walls, the net player is going to feel much more comfortable, and that's when you feel, okay, I want to be at the net. Sometimes we feel when we play tournaments that actually the net position is not the best one because the defenders are so good that you say, well, you know what, just move in and let me defend a little bit. Okay, so when you get that feeling, and hopefully in these 2 days you're going to get the taste of it, you want to be at the back. Not always, yeah? Don't forget that the paddle game is won at the net, yeah? But you want to be at the back. That's actually a good part of the game where you enjoy, and that's where you feel the paddle, yeah?
Do you have any trick to see what kind of overhead shot that will come to you as a defender?
Normally, yes. Yes. There are references. Obviously, what the player will always try to do is to hide what he's going to do. He's not going to show his cards. But that's a good level, yeah? On a normal level, that's a very good question. But I don't need the board for this. Normally, take as a reference. Imagine I get lobbed. Okay? What I will do is that I'm going to create a straight line right in the middle of my body. So imagine I have a straight line in front of me. Yes? Anything coming from that middle line to the right, there is a very high probability, because the contact point is going to be on my right, that this guy is going to slice it. Yes? If the ball is coming towards my left, slice cannot happen. Normally what this guy will do is going to brush it. He's going to play with a little bit of topspin. If the ball goes towards me, it will normally be flat. If it's short, I will hit it. If it's further back, I will place it. Now, it's on me to try to hide what I'm going to do. So, for example, if the ball is coming to the middle, I can decide what I want to do. I can decide, you know what, if I move a little bit to the right, the ball's going to be on my left. I can brush. If I move a little bit to the left, I can have the ball on my right, so I can slice it. Yes? But normally players are so focused on what they have to do with the ball that they totally forget about hiding the shot, because you already have enough about returning the ball. Yeah, so you think, okay, now on top of this, I have to play hide and seek just to see if the defender knows what I'm going to do or not.
But are you looking a lot at the opponent's racket or something to see?
Well, normally after a few shots, you kind of know what to expect. Okay? For example, I'm a backhand player, and I like hitting the ball quite a lot on the side. So whenever defenders see that the ball is on my right-hand side, they already know I'm going to try to put a little bit of side spin. After 3 or 4 shots, this is one of the things you have to do. You have to analyze your opponent. Very often, and we see a lot of players playing, they play a match, and they didn't realize that the opponent was left-handed. Really, seriously. I was like, didn't you realize he was left-handed? And was he? Really? Because he's so obsessed about what he's doing that he forgets about analyzing the opponent. And once you analyze, for example, on the warm-ups, on the first couple of games, those are the games you use to try to pick a tactic. Because you have to have a tactic, okay? Which is sometimes one thing that nobody does. You play your match, he plays his match, he plays his match, he plays his match. They never stop and say, Okay, so what do we do? Have you noticed that this guy struggles here, he plays that? Okay, let's try this, let's try that. This is one thing that not many players do, and this is a very basic thing, okay? And then after a while, you start analyzing. But then with this reference, when the lob goes to the opponent, according to if it goes to the left, to the right, or to the middle, you know what to expect. You know if it's going to be topspin, flat, or slice. Whether if it's under or on the side of it, yeah? But it will have some slice. Always that reference. And this is also a very easy reference to know what to do with the ball. Because sometimes you have the lob and then you think, okay, topspin, flat, slice, víbora, and by the time you've decided, the ball has bounced 3 times behind you. Okay? So it's a very easy way to know what to do. Ball on the right, this means a slice. Ball on the left, this means topspin. Ball in the middle, I can make up the shot, and if not, I'll just play flat. Either powerful or soft. Simple as that, keeping it simple. Yes? That's when, again, good players will try to hide it. So ball on the right, they will run faster, and maybe they have the ball on the left, or so on. Yeah, but that would be an easy way to know what to expect. More questions? Come on, we're on fire. Anyway, is that clear? Does that give you a little bit of a clear image of what the game is about? Yeah. So once we have this, keep it in mind. If you have any questions about these days, even if it's on court or off court, yeah, let us know. I mean, use us. Okay, we will do our best to offer you our resources. So don't be afraid, even if you feel it's the most stupid question in the world. It might be, and we'll make a good laugh of it, okay? But it's important, no, we're joking. But it's important that you ask. And if you have doubts, okay, I've seen doing this. Why do the players do that? Why do I feel I have... And there is a very clear way to get a solution to that. Okay? Yes?
Yeah, so please ask.
Ask.
Don't be shy. Ladies.
They were laughing all the time. It's like, yeah, that was me. I do that. So, yeah, it was me. I do that. Okay. No, yes, I think we can have a look, Par, if you think, to the groups as well. Yes. And if you haven't got any more questions, nothing else.
¿Puedes repetirlo todo en español?
En español, por supuesto. Ahora empezamos. Only one thing. Do we all use continental grip?
Can you show us the...
Do we all use continental grip? Is there anyone that holds a forehand grip?
A little.
No.
Or a backhand grip.
Or a backhand grip?
We have a few clients like that in the States.
Make sure always try to keep the continental grip. Sometimes if there are tennis players, you know that in tennis you change grips. You use a forehand grip, yes, because you want to brush it. You use a backhand grip. Okay, in paddle, normally you always use the middle. When you get a very good level, there are variations. People can change a little bit the grip, but there is a very different concept of tennis and paddle with topspin. In tennis is power, Rafa Nadal, yeah? Have you seen him today? In paddle is just placement, it's just touching the ball. And sometimes when you are rescuing very low shots, sometimes you can change the grip a little bit, yeah? But normally make sure you're keeping the continental grip. If there are players who play with forehand grip, and we see players everywhere, and this is a normal thing. Why? Because you feel that on the forehand, you've got good control, but sometimes on the backhand, then you feel a little bit weak. It's important you keep it in the middle, yeah? And sometimes it takes time and it takes guts, because sometimes players get used to play with a forehand grip, and you feel, you know what, I'm okay with it. And then you change the grip, and you feel terrible, yeah? For the first week or first 2 weeks, you will feel absolutely terrible, yes? If it's the case, I would suggest you to be patient, and it's one thing you should work on. You can play with a forehand or with a backhand grip, yeah? I mean, there are players who play that, but it will always give you much more shot selection to play with the continental. Because with the continental, you decide how close or how open you want the racket on the contact point. When you have a forehand grip, the racket is already pointing down. So if I want to keep it open, that means I have to make a huge turn on my wrist. And sometimes that's when I'm going to have problems in my wrist, yes? Also for the tennis elbow. Okay, make sure you keep that continental. In the backhand, exactly the same. On the backhand, you might feel fine, but there comes a forehand. We've got a guy, Karsten, the German. Yeah, he plays an incredible backhand. But on the forehand, he's not used to have the continental, and he plays with a backhand grip, which means that the contact point on the forehand volley has to be so far behind to keep it straight, because otherwise he's going to break his wrist.
He gets injured.
And he gets injured quite often, yeah.
Shoulder.
And it's the thing, he's been working for 3 months, and he, no, backhand grip, backhand. And now he's starting changing mind after 25 injuries in the elbow. So sometimes you need to go through the pain, you know, to understand how the game is played. But this is one thing, if you are not sure about the grip, please let us know tomorrow. We will see it anyway straight away, don't worry. The first shot, even if you don't know what grip you use, we'll let you know. Okay?
How is it with the two-hand backhands? Is it becoming
It's very
more and more-
personal. It's very personal.
Is
Okay.
it more and more common? Or
Pablo Lima, number one in the world with Blastin, has a two-hands backhand. Okay. A lot of girls have a two-hands backhand. Okay. Especially when the ball comes in a powerful way, sometimes players feel that they are not strong on the contact point to hit the ball in front, and then sometimes feel a little bit shaky. Okay. And then what the players do sometimes is that they prefer having two hands because they feel stronger. This is nothing wrong with that. The only thing is that it becomes a little bit more restrictive because you have less reach and the contact point happens closer to your body. So sometimes when you have to stretch a little bit, it's not the easiest of the shots. Okay? But when somebody is volleying, as Gabo said, for example, Lars is volleying with a lot of slice on your backhand, players very often they use two hands to try to block those shots because they get so heavy on the racket that if you don't hit the ball in front, sometimes the ball feels super heavy. So it's nothing wrong. You can play two hands, you can play with hand. We will always encourage the players to use one hand, but there's nothing wrong with playing two hands. It's actually a very common thing. In girls, I would say 50%, 45% they play two hands. Yeah, it's a normal thing. Marta Marrero, number one in the world, she was a tennis player and she plays an incredible two hands backhand. It's unreal. When it goes off the wall, it has to be said that that is when they let it go. But it's a different shot because the ball has lost the pace, it's going back to front, you only need to follow the ball. But when somebody's attacking at you, using two hands is actually okay. You will need a little bit quicker footwork, that's the only thing, because the contact point is a little bit closer to you. But other than that, it's fine with it. Nothing wrong with that. Any more things, guys? Are we all okay with that? Yes? Okay, so now you can give me your emails, yeah? And tonight I'll give you 25 pages. So tomorrow you're going to be stressed. Oh my God, what I was supposed to do. Okay? No, don't worry. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. Okay? And I hope thank you. Have a good rest tonight, and we will see you tomorrow on court. Wait.